You are aware we track news wherever it is and we go after it. This year we've had a lot of groundbreaking items of news coming from the courts in Jamaica, whether it's the parish court, the Supreme Court, or the Court of Appeal. And this morning is no different because we are expecting a decision from the Court of Appeal this morning in an appeal brought by the Attorney General of Jamaica against Philip Paulwell and Peter Bunting in that matter concerning a constitutional amendment which increased the retirement age of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Auditor General. But the concern the representatives of the People's National Party, the concern they've had is really with the extension of the retirement age touching and concerning the DPP Paula Llewellyn, she having reached the age of retirement in or around 2020. So, is it 2020 or 2023? I believe it's 2023. I'll find that exact date in just a moment. So, as you know, there was a decision from the full court earlier this year in April in which they gave decision for the claimants, those being Philip Paulwell and Peter Bunting. The Attorney General, who is the defendant and was the respondent in the matter, thought the decision was unclear in some parts and certainly not in line with the law in others. As a result, they have challenged the decision of the court, and the Court of Appeal, having heard the arguments, they are going to be delivering their decision this morning, they tell us, at 9:30. Because of the great constitutional importance of this matter, and dare I say political importance and therefore societal importance in a number of ways, we do intend to log into the court's feed at 9:30 to receive the decision in that matter, while simultaneously we do what we need to do in the yard here at 32 Lindis Road as part of our outreach hotline for the elderly. Right, so I know that you will, just stay with us for the intermingling of the news as well as the service to the people, because that is what we do here. We go where the news is, but we continue to do the other aspects of this program, which is just being good for the nation. Or have communication about it, then we will let you know the decision of the court in that way. So by way of a little bit of background, I explained to you what happened with the amendment in 2023. The full court said in April of 2024 that the incumbent DPP, that's Paula Llewellyn, was born in 1960. In 2020, the DPP attained the retirement age of 60 as provided in Section 96(1) of the Constitution. In January of 2020, the DPP expressed a desire for continuation in office in writing. The Prime Minister, in exercising his power under a provision in the Constitution, proposed an extension for the maximum permissible period of 5 years and sought the agreement of the Leader of the Opposition. The Leader of the Opposition responded some 2 weeks later with unequivocal disagreement to the proposal. The Prime Minister recommended to the Governor General that he permit the DPP's tenure to continue for a further 3 years and not the 5 years originally contemplated. The Governor General assented to the recommendation and the DPP elected to continue in office. The tenure of the DPP was extended for a further 3 years, and this 3-year extension would have expired on or about September 21, 2023. In February of 2023, the DPP made an application for continuation in office. In a letter To the DPP in May 2023, the Public Service Commission responded, stating there could be no further extension as the tenure of the DPP had already been extended once pursuant to the relevant constitutional provisions. The Public Service Commission, the PSC, also told the DPP that the Prime Minister, having considered legal advice, had refused the extension. The Constitution Amendment of Sections 96(1) and 121(1) Act of 2023 was then passed. The Public Service Commission recommended the appointment of the DPP to the Governor General. The DPP was thereafter appointed by the Governor General, and as a result of that amendment to the law, Philip Polwell and Peter Bunting challenged the constitutionality of that amendment, and they went before the court and sought declaration from the court that the amendment was enacted for an improper purpose and is therefore inconsistent with the Constitution, null and void. They wanted the court to declare as well that a section of the act was enacted in breach of the separation of powers principle and was therefore inconsistent with the Constitution, so null and void. They wanted the court to declare as well that Section 2 of that amendment would have the effect of circumventing, undermining, and or contradicting the constitutionally mandated process for the extension of term in office of the DPP and is therefore inconsistent with the Constitution, null and void. In the alternative, they ask that the section of the Act that they were challenging was to be read and construed as not applying to the current DPP and that section should be struck out. The court heard the arguments, and in April of this year, this is what the Constitutional Court said. A lot of what was sought by the claimants, Philip Polwell and Peter Bunting, a lot of those declarations sought were not granted, but the court ruled judgment for the claimants, and it declared that the Section 2(1) of the Act is a valid constitutional amendment. In other words, the section of the law that amended the retirement age of the DPP, they said that that section is a valid constitutional amendment. There's another section which is Section 2, subsection 2 of the Act. The court said that section is an invalid constitutional amendment, and as a consequence, they severed that portion from the Act and they struck it down and declared it as unconstitutional, null and void, and of no legal effect. As a result of this decision, the Attorney General filed an appeal, and this is what we're now waiting to hear from the 3-member panel of the appellate court. Do they agree with the Attorney General that errors of law or errors in interpretation were made by the full court, the Constitutional Court, or do they agree with Philip Polwell and Peter Bunting that no errors were made and that the decision of the Constitutional Court is to stand? We do not know. That is what we are awaiting at the moment. As soon as I get that, I will bring that for you. This is a decision that I think the court really should have streamed live. There are so many issues related to this, so many discussions about it, that I'm just getting a a message from the court. I'm not live streaming the matter at all. And I clearly stated that I was on the platform. Ask of the gentleman at the front before I told the gentleman what platform I needed to get into. I said, I'm logging on from the studio of Radio Jamaica. I need to know whether I'd be permitted to live stream the matter. The gentleman said to me, hold on a second, let me just make a call and see. And when the gentleman came back, he put me through to the courtroom. But whilst in the courtroom waiting for the judges to come, Radio Jamaica logged on the Zoom platform, and the communication to Daniel, because he's over the other side on the Radio Jamaica Zoom platform, we were told that we wouldn't be allowed to live stream. And as a result, I discontinued my Zoom presence as Emily Shields, and I informed Radio Jamaica to also log out. So we are not live streaming. I am live talking and giving the background by reading paragraphs of the decision of the justices, which was handed down in April of this year. I'm not live streaming, and I cannot understand why this matter is not live streamed anyway. Massive breaking news coming from the Court of Appeal Jamaica today, the 20th December 2024. Paula Vanessa Llewellyn, King's Counsel, remains the Director of Public Prosecutions for Jamaica. The Court of Appeal says the full court fell into error. Therefore, Paula remains a DPP of Jamaica. A section of the law which was amended and which the full court ruled did not apply to Paula Llewellyn as the DPP, and they'd struck it down as being unconstitutional, void and of no effect, and not applying to Paula Llewellyn. The Court of Appeal said that was not a correct decision. Paula Llewellyn therefore remains the DPP, and this decision is a massive decision, a big win for the Attorney General of Jamaica. They've had many challenges in the last number of years, and it's not very many that they have won. This one in particular has had some great jurisprudential value. It has also been something that has taken on a lot of political flavor. And so the decision coming from the court, where Paula Llewellyn, her application for extension was supported by the Prime Minister of Jamaica, but was completely and unequivocally rejected by the then leader of the opposition, leading to an amendment to the Constitution from which she benefits because of her age. The Court of Appeal is now saying there was nothing improper about that amendment, and the amendment does apply to her. We now wait to see whether Paula Llewellyn, being absent from the position since the challenge to her continuing, and Claudette Thompson being appointed acting DPP, we now wait to see whether Paula Llewellyn will resume her position as DPP, certainly until September of 2025, or whether, having tasted life away from the office, which can be so difficult and perhaps toxic at times, whether she will step back into that, or she will move into retirement with her integrity intact. So many people questioned her continuing because of all of the political matters attendant on the amendment to the law. We will now see whether she decides to continue or whether she walks away with the Court of Appeal decision now saying there was nothing improper about the amendment to the law and that the amendment does apply to her. I wait to see the actual text of the decision. I understand a press summary is coming soon. I look forward to reading that press summary. I do recall when I took the time to read this decision over the weekend when the decision came down in April. I remember coming back to you and saying, having had the time to read it, it was so internally consistent and perhaps confusing, never made any sense to me based on the reasoning of the court. It's as if the last couple paragraphs just sort of dropped in from nowhere. It just didn't follow logically from the number of paragraphs before concerning the applicability of this particular section 2.2 of the amendment to the current DPP. So I look forward to reading the decision of the court and just better understanding how is it and why is it they say that the full court fell into error in the understanding of this particular section 2.2. But the big news for today is that the DPP, Paula Llewellyn, remains a DPP.